And good morning again at 4:44 a.m. I've been awake a long time already, and as I was meditating, wondering what Spirit would have me speak to you about today, the answer came: the Muslim world. How does the ninth wave affect the Muslim world? It's an interesting question. What we saw in Tunisia, what we saw in Egypt, what we're seeing in many other Muslim countries is an amazing thing. And I'm gonna start by going back to what happened on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve in Egypt, which was, to me, the precursor for everything that followed in Egypt. And it was a beautiful thing. The first part wasn't so beautiful because on Christmas Eve, in the Coptic Christian church in Alexandria, terrorists bombed the church, or bombed the people that were worshiping. And of course there were some people that died at that time. But what happened a week later was the amazing thing. It was a spirit of unity that happened in Egypt, when tens of thousands of Muslims formed a human shield around the Coptic Christian churches in Cairo and Alexandria and I believe in other cities as well. And even Hosni Mubarak's two sons joined in on that. So this was, to me, their cry was either we live together or we die together. There was a spirit of unity that was taking place in Egypt at that time. And the spirit of unity is always going to be the precursor to the flame of freedom erupting in our hearts and in our souls and bursting forth in our lives. But what's happening all over the Muslim world is there's an awakening. It's happening all over in every religion, but it's happening in the Muslim world. And I want to just talk to Muslims wherever you are, as a Christian brother. I want you to know that I don't buy into the scapegoating that the West and many of the media groups are doing, blaming the Muslims for all the world's ills. I happen to know for a fact that during the so-called Christian Dark Ages, the Muslims were the light of the world. They were people of the book, and they were people of peace. I know that, and I appreciate that part of the history of Islam. For a long time, that was the history. The Sufi poets coming out of Persia and coming out of throughout the Near East and the Mid East. They were people that walked with Allah, walked with God. And even in today's world, their poetry of Hafiz and Rumi and others, I mean, people are flocking to this beautiful poetry coming out of the Sufi tradition of Islam. And I know Islam honored the descendants of Abraham. They honored the Jewish people, the Israel people. They honored Christians. They saw Jesus and still see Jesus as a prophet. And they don't look for the second coming of Mohammed. They look for the second coming of Christ. And what is this second coming you await? Is it a Savior that comes into the world in physical form as a warrior to beat down your enemies? In your heart, you know that's not true. You know that's not true. That may be an image that some would incite within you, but that's not the way it is. The Christ is a living spirit that permeates all things, and it has nothing to do with religion. It never did. It never did. So I ask Muslims to embrace your own heritage of honoring the people of the book. And while you're honoring, don't just honor people of the Abraham traditions, the Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael traditions. Honor people of faith in the Hindu religions, in the Buddhist religions, in the Taoist religions, Shinto, Confucius, in all of the religions of the world. Honor people of faith. Honor people who live from their heart, the mystics who know Allah, maybe by another name, but it's the same Creator. It's time that we allow the divine within us, God within us, to awaken us to the love that God is. God isn't just love to Christians. God is love to Muslims. God is love to Jews. God is love to Hindus, Buddhists, and name all the religions. It doesn't matter. We are one. And it is that unity consciousness that allowed even the ousted president of Egypt, the sons of the ousted president of Egypt, to stand with Muslims to protect Christians on New Year's Eve this year, prior to all of the other uprising that happened and the overthrow of Mr. Mubarak. Forgive. Muslims, forgive. I hold you in my heart this morning. I embrace you. I honor you for the contribution that Muslims have made to the world at large, and there have been many. As I said earlier, they were the light of the world during the Dark Ages, bringing us the sciences and knowledge. They brought knowledge forth. During that period of time, it was a beautiful thing then. And that flame still burns today in the heart of every Muslim, of everyone in the Islamic world. That flame of truth, that flame of love, that flame of compassion, that flame of knowledge and understanding still burns in your heart. Let that flame grow in you. Don't allow those that would incite you because of abuses. Yes, there have been abuses. There have been abuses within families, within tribes, within nations, within all sorts of cultures around the world. There have been abuses of power. There have been people taking advantage of other people and doing atrocious acts. We know that. We all can accept that. But it's no longer an eye for an eye. This time, it's how can I show you compassion? It's about forgiveness. It's about love. It's about remembering what Allah would want. People say that Islam is a religion of the sword, and certainly it has been used that way at times. Perhaps there are still those that might hold that vision of conquering by the sword in their heart. But I'm imploring you, as my brothers and sisters, to let that go. To let that go and be replaced with a higher wisdom. A wisdom that Muhammad would want there to be peace. He would look for a peaceful solution. And I'm asking you in the world of Islam to look for the peaceful solution. I genuinely love you and I genuinely appreciate each one of you for your devotion to Allah, for your commitment to prayer, for your honoring people of the book and people of faith everywhere from your heart. So today, I bless you. I bless you. And instead of throwing gasoline on the flame, I throw the Spirit of God on the flame in your heart to burn brightly and to be lights in a world that is coming out of its own darkness. Be the peacemakers that Allah would choose for you, that Muhammad would choose for you. I love you, my brothers and sisters. Peace be unto you. Salam.